What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Integrative Psychonautics. Hope you're doing well out there. So in today's video, I wanted to discuss with you guys two different flavors of personal development. So this is a really important thing, I think, to understand and start to discern for yourself, which is the difference between personal development that is being done from a place of inauthenticity. That might be cultural conditioning. That might be ideas or value systems that aren't authentically yours or aren't likely to satisfy you and really deeply resonate with who you are as a being, versus doing personal development from a place of deep self-expression, being in touch with your essence, being in touch with your authenticity and your growth path coming out of that. Let's talk about it. Okay, so this is a topic that I think is really important for people to look at and discern. I was listening to a training from a teacher of mine recently, and it really got me thinking about this a lot. And this is really such a key, important point to understand. So obviously, I'm sure a lot of you already recognize and know that a lot of the time when people get into personal development work, they want to get into self-help. They want to get better at something. They want to achieve goals in their lives. They want to have experiences and things. They want to become a better version of themselves. Obviously, a lot of that kind of personal development, including all the kind of success porn, grind set stuff, or, your kind of classic seminar kind of personal development, all that kind of stuff, a lot of spiritual growth too, is coming from really a place of a sense of lack, a sense of shame, a sense of not being enough, the old "you are not enough" wound, right? Coming from a lot of self-judgment, from a lot of kind of insecurity, paranoia, fear, angst, FOMO, right? Being afraid of missing out on life, et cetera, right? So there's oftentimes this kind of these deeper cultural values of materialism, of experience, being somehow king or being meaningful, of having, of maximizing, of it's about what you do, it's about force, it's about, getting there, right? That it's all about the goal, it's all about the thing. That's so inculcated into us from so young, based on, obviously all the media we take in and just generally the way people think in our culture. That gets infused into us, right? And a lot of times, especially if we grow up from a background where maybe there's deficiencies in the way we were treated in one form or another, whether it was at home or at school or with role models in our lives or what have you, we can end up really wanting to prove that we are enough, that we're better, that we can have the thing, that et cetera, et cetera. And so this is the flavor, this is the thing, the vibe that drives so much of kind of classic personal development, right? And in a certain sense, I get it. I've been there myself. I know how it goes. I've done the seminars and I've done the courses and I did, yada, yada, right? I totally get it. And there's nothing wrong with wanting the things that you want. But I think it's also important to look at, where did I learn to want this thing? Where did it occur to me that this thing was desirable? Why do I want the Lambo, for example, to use the kind of cliche, right? Or, why do I want to be a millionaire? Or, why do I want to, date supermodels, or whatever these kinds of, types of goals are. It's really important to look at, where did I learn that that was a valuable thing? And where is this coming from in me? What's the belief about myself or about having that thing that, where's that resonating? What does that mean to me? And I think what we find a lot of times is that these types of hard motivation, force, pursuit, grind, materialistic types of personal development are often, in my experience, as I start to work with people around this stuff, often these kinds of goals are actually incongruent. They're actually not authentic. They're actually not, from our deepest core, who we are, not an expression of who we are. It's an expression of who we think we should be, or who we are afraid others think we can't be, things like that. But very rarely is it an expression of our authentic joy, our authentic essence, our authentic passion, our authentic, growth path. The metaphor that I heard this teacher saying in this training that I was listening to is, that organic, authentic, aligned, essence-driven personal development is very much like the way a plant just stretches out towards the sun, or, digs its roots in deeper for water. There's not a whole lot of anxiety and nervousness and neuroticism around that. It's just the path. It's just what there is to do. It's just what's organic and natural to do. And in my experience, when we start to resolve a lot of the kind of self-judgment, a lot of the shame, a lot of the fear, a lot of the competitiveness, a lot of the trauma, quite frankly, whether it's cultural trauma or personal trauma that we have inside of ourselves, once we start to resolve that, and we're coming from self-love, compassion, being centered in ourselves, thriving, well-being, joy, curiosity, what authentically makes us go, wow, whoa, that's cool. The choices we make become really different. And the motivation is generally spontaneous. The motivation generally is organic, and you don't have to force yourself to be motivated, right? This is a big cue, a big hint here, right? If you have to force yourself to be motivated, then maybe you don't actually deeply align with the thing that you're trying to motivate yourself towards, right? For me, all the stuff we're talking about here, and learning all the stuff that I've learned to be a coach, and my passion for psychedelics, and all this stuff is totally organic. It's authentic. It's like a nerd obsession, geek out on this kind of thing that I could do all day and have for decades gladly, right? So my motivation, that's why I became a coach, because my motivation in this area is so ever present and organic that I didn't have to try to become a coach. I didn't do this so that I could flex. I didn't do this so that I could be right, or so that I could know better, or so that any of that, right? So I could present myself on Instagram with a certain kind of persona and market to you like a certain, better thanness, or whatever the chic thing is at the moment. I became a coach because it's just genuinely what my being stretches towards, with not from fear, not from shame, but out of passion, out of curiosity, out of desire. It's water. It's like the water for me that I'm reaching for. It's so fulfilling. And I think that this is, in my experience, so much better of a way to self-actualize, to grow, to develop yourself. When you're coming from not the cultural hypnosis and the cultural conditioning of materialism and the things you think you might want that you don't know if you want, or the shame that you're not going to be considered good enough if you don't do the thing or whatever. When you heal all those fucking messy bits that are driving and charging all of that stuff to make you think you want this thing, and you come back to just your body and your being and your essence and your core self, and you're in touch with what that is and living from that place, personal development becomes really easy. It becomes really flowing, and it becomes really natural. You do it because you're curious. You do it because you love it. You do it because, sure, there's something you want to experience or achieve, but it's not a neurotic desire. It's more like curiosity or play, or let's see how far we can take this, or what's the next level of this. It's much more from your core, truth, from your core being. It's easy, right? And that's how growth should be. I think most of the time. There will be points, even when you're pursuing your organic growth path, let's be honest, where it will get hard, and where it will get challenging, and where you'll hit obstacles and limitations. That's part of the growth path, and that's part of just how we always learn anything we learn. It's never or not never, but very rarely is it just totally smooth and effortless the whole way, and you go from zero to mastery in a given field without any obstacles or setbacks or disappointments. Very rare, right? Possible, yes, but rare. Most of us, there will be bumps in the road. There will be setbacks. There will be disappointments. There will be moments of demotivation. There will be, but generally speaking, if it's really coming from your authentic self, you're going to continue to find this effortless motivation, this effortless flow, this, self-honesty. And if something isn't aligned, you'll find an ability to adapt and make it, more in alignment so that it fits you. And I think that this is a better way to think of personal development and personal healing and all this stuff. Is not chasing some form of perfection, some form of idealism, but really expanding from the exquisite qualities you already have inside of yourself and allowing those out and allowing yourself to self-express more of your essence and live this deeply authentic, congruent life that invites you forward on your path, in growth in a way that feels really natural and right. And so I wanted to just kind of speak to this a bit because there's so much out there in the personal development world right now, and it's so popular, to be driven by, this insecurity and this competitiveness and shame and all this kind of stuff. And, like I've said in other videos recently, I think that often those are hollow victories in my experience. The neuroticism involved with being driven that way really is a form of suffering, if we're going to be honest, and really is a form of disconnect from ourselves, right? And so I think priority number one is connecting with ourselves, enjoying that self-connection, like really thriving from inside that self-connection, and allowing the personal growth work that you do not to come from a sense of lack, but from a sense of passion, from a sense of play, from a sense of joy, from a sense of natural organic expansion of your being. So enough said. Let me know what you think. Does this resonate? Does this hit home for you? Is this a useful message? Leave a comment down below if it is. Do the usual things, please, for the algorithm, subscribe if you're not a subscriber to the channel. And, if you want more of this kind of content, let me know. Much love to you guys. Take care. I'll see you soon.